Welcome back. Someone out there, perhaps someone watching right now, knows what happened to Jabez Spann. It has been time to come forward. Jabez has been missing since Labor Day weekend. It has been 7 months. He turned 15 in the interim. The talk is he may have been a witness to a murder. The only thing we know for sure is that he was last seen September 4th walking on 22nd Street, and his family misses him very much. And joining us now is Jabez's mother, Tawana Spann, Larry Levine, Jabez's uncle, and Bill Kemper, a criminology professor at USF Sarasota Manatee and the former police officer in Metropolitan Detroit and a cold case specialist. And Tawana, let me start with you. I know that the last 7 months has been awful. How are you and your family doing right now?
Right now, it's just one day at a time. You know, no one has given up hope on what's going to happen. I still have people that are diligently searching and making sure things happen that it doesn't go as a cold case. I just would say it's just one day at a time. It has to bring some type of awareness at one point. That's what I would say.
What have the police told you?
What has the police told me? In
terms of where they are at right now in the search?
Well, a lot of the things that we have not discussed is due to the fact of it needs to stay secluded, because if it doesn't, and it could make the case worse than what it is. So they've been very, very quiet on what they're doing, but I know that they're still working. They let me know that they're still working.
Right, and I know that there's been, initially, we saw so many people in the community and people outside the community coming from other parts of the Tampa Bay area, from Pinellas County to Polk County, come down here and help the family in the search. That has slowed down considerably. So in terms of the family and getting people to come down here and search, where do things stand right now?
Well, it's, like I say, it's very difficult. It's a tough situation. We definitely appreciate the community, all the people that have reached out and helped from abroad, from close, the police department. We just need your help. It's very tough. I'm a father of two. It's very tough for my sister to be missing her child. It's my nephew. There's no words to describe it.
Bill, you have so much experience in cases like this. What should people who are watching this know in terms of, it's been a long time, we keep on hearing that the number of tips coming into police have slowed down. Mm-hmm. We also know that the Sarasota police are still very much working on this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't like to ever say things a cold case. I think that we diligently should investigate this case, and Sarasota is doing a good job. I think about the 8 days that this young man has been home and around and with friends. I personally feel somebody knows something out there. And maybe there's a fear factor, and I'll get into that a little bit later.
Did the fact that this happened around the time that Irma was bearing down on us, or around that time, really kind of have an impact in terms of, because police had a lot of other things on their minds around that time, and so did the entire community?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mentioned that in my notes. When Irma came in, that kind of changed the police direction. Not that they didn't want to work on it, but the emergency power was out, and that left, I'm not sure, what is it, around 2 weeks of problems in Sarasota and Bradenton.
Right. Tawana, how do you personally separate, and actually we'll get into this more in the next half hour, but the facts as you know them and the rumors that are out there, and unknowing what happened to Jabez?
You don't really separate it. You actually have to go through, and you have to go inch by inch. Every tip that has ever came in has been worked on. Every single tip that has came in. I have a PI that has given endless time. He doesn't even charge us anything. His family has sacrificed his time to help us with the case. Every tip that's ever came in, every rumor, if it led us into ditches and terrain, we've did every inch of, and still doing still going at it just as hard as we were at the beginning.
Okay, we are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more on the search for Jabez Spann right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast, so stay with us. Welcome back. We are keeping the case of Jabez Spann front and center. The teenager has been missing since September, and we need your help to find him. Joining us for more is Jabez's mother, Tawana Spann, Larry Levine, Jabez's uncle, and Bill Kemper, a criminology professor at USF Sarasota Manatee and a former police officer in metropolitan Detroit and a cold case specialist. Tawana, we often hear, and the police often say, someone out there knows something. And I know, again, we're talking about separating what you know and what you don't know, but what is the single biggest thing that you want to relay to the community right now in terms of the need for people to call in and help police?
I wanted them to know that I've spent like sleepless hours trying to figure out how this could happen, what made this happen, why. But if I had to tell anybody anything, Jabez witnessed a crime in a community, and the crime was due to lack of resources and chains of events that economically and mindset-wise caused a ripple effect. Our crime is increasing in Newtown. I want everybody to kind of stop just for a minute and stop looking at just Jabez. Jabez is a monument to show that there is an epidemic in Newtown that is spreading. If they are starting to take children, if that's not enough, it's going to spread. It's just an epidemic that's spreading. And our community is being infected by nothing but cruel and unkind, just unmoral things happening right now. And it doesn't have to be just a community. It's just being a human being, being a mother, being a father. If everyone woke up tomorrow that was a parent and one of their children were gone, what would they feel? What would they want me to do?
Larry, Jabez could have been anyone's kid.
Yes.
I mean, he was, by all accounts, a good kid, a football player, a good student, and a good member of this community who, like so many people, may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time and seen something happen. And, there may be people out there who at least also saw it happen, know where he went, know who took him, whatever. From the family's point of view, what do you want to relate to those folks?
Wow. Say something. When something like this happens, someone knows something. I mean, it's highly unlogical that a child at 14 years old just vanishes. I mean, someone had to see something. I mean, I don't wish this on anybody. The feeling of missing is something that you can't describe. There's no closure, and I know that someone had to witness and someone saw something. It's just we just need the community. We need someone that knows something. I mean, you can be anonymous. You don't have to, there's ways that you don't have to get involved.
Right. Let's take the opportunity. I believe we have the telephone number for the tip line at the Sarasota Police. If we could put that up on the screen, 941-366-TIPS. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Jabez Spann and what happened and the facts surrounding it, you could call that tip line and leave information for the police to follow up anonymously. But, Bill, as we reported off the top, over the amount of time, the number of tips coming into the police has diminished. From the police perspective, and you've been there many times, what happens when the tips slow up, the amount of time goes by, there's a narrative out there which may or may not be true.
Yes, and difference between a cold case and this getting a little warmer is the TV studio and the parents coming in and making this a little bit warm. When months go by, police still do their job. Sarasota done an excellent job putting out tip lines and everything. But as time go by, it just kind of gets pushed off on the shelf.
Well, what is the difficulty from the police perspective? And again, a lot of stories have been out there about Jabez witnessing a crime on a street corner nearby. So the police are investigating a murder and a disappearance, and there are people out there who do not like to talk. And there may be people who are in the picture who may not be cooperative. So what do you do?
Well, we had success in Detroit by using clergy. And we had a lot of police chaplains, and we had one Catholic priest, Father Francis. And I know a lot of people are afraid to call the tip line. A lot of people are afraid to get involved with the police, even though the police are doing a good job. But I would suggest we get another flyer out and involve the clergy. If somebody can come to the clergy, especially a Catholic priest, their canon law goes back to 1300, where they're completely in secrecy. A person can go to them, and they can go to the police, and they don't even have to know the name.
It's one that we've heard stories about people going to the clergy around
Yeah.
here, but that
That's not, I don't think that's right now that is definitely not something that I'm advising. Like my brother said, if you have information, just come forward. But like I'm saying, it's not just going to stop with him. If we don't pull together as a community, this is not going to just be Jabez. This is going to start affecting all of us.
Right. Specifically, the story was that somebody went to a local member of the clergy with some information. That was some information that was then relayed to the police, but not all of it, because the members of the clergy do have, just like sometimes lawyers have, a privilege.
Yeah.
That they can only go so far in terms of identifying people who come to them. In terms of flyers, how active have you been out there in terms of putting new flyers out and around the streets, just to keep it in front of people's eyes?
I just got like maybe 500 more flyers. I get flyers every single month. And as with the clergy situation, it wasn't just the bothersome of a preacher that was wanted to invoke a privilege, but it was invoked by a lawyer that is with our mayor. That's what bothered me. The same people that's supposed to be protecting us in the community was the one that invoked that very right.
Larry, have you been surprised in terms of the different reactions from the community, in terms of, you have had a lot of people who have basically put in time and gone out there and physically searched for Jabez, and then they're people who have not been as helpful as you would and the family would want them to be.
Yeah, like I said, I've been on the searches, and it's very emotional. And I'm definitely not here to I really appreciate our community. There's just a lot of people that are out there scared, and we need their support. We need each other's support.
And that is the reality of a lot of these situations, that because of what Tawana has been talking about in terms of people living in fear, people are sometimes fearful in terms of talking to police.
Mm-hmm. Yes. If I may, I've done some research on college research, and come up with something we might want to discuss. It's talking about observing criminal activity for a young man like him that's really a straight shooter. Well, if it says, and this is the college resource and college material, it says if a minor child spent time in an area where criminal activity is known to occur, this results in 27,000, or 12% of the runaways between 13 and 17 involved in this atmosphere. And a good portion of the 12% that interviewed ran away because they felt physically that there was a high risk they might be hurt. And one cliche they have in there is snitches get stitches.
And unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there, but we want to thank you all for being here tonight, and we wish you absolutely the best in the weeks and months to come.